r/AskReddit by Reddit and chill. Introverts of Reddit. What social interaction makes your battery down to 0% immediately? Anywhere where there is loud noise or a lot of noise. Office team buildings. Any employment related fun. That's mandatory fun, mister. While it's completely voluntary, you still better have your ass there. Hey, let's get a drink. You and me. Sure. At the pub. Oh. When I said just you and me, I actually meant you. Me and my friend from uni that you don't know. But with whom I go way back and will talk to all night while ignoring you. Right, single quotation mark. And then I'll duck off for an extra long piss. Leaving you two alone to the conversational equivalent of a hedgehog ducking a tortoise. Family gatherings. Funny you mentioned that. I'm currently on vacation. My grandma is having a birthday get together this evening with about 16 other family members I don't really know and only briefly talk to every 3-4 years. I've already spent the last hour in my room and I'll probably be spending more time in here when people start arriving. I struggle enough with my life, job, school. The worst thing is having to put on a fake mask and talk about my aspirations when I just want to zone out of all that for one day. I would pummel my boss if he insisted I stay at some stranger's house for a job. I don't care if they're a client. They're unfamiliar to me and it's weird. That seems like it would be draining for people who aren't even introverts. Work. Customer service has made my skin crawl since day one. But it pays the bills. That's awful. Do you have to deal with phone calls? My social anxiety doesn't let me pick up phones with unknown numbers. Arguments can drain me from 100% to 0 real fast. Confrontation in general, I would say, is my arch nemesis. It's even worse when it's a pointless one. It's bad enough when you're listening to one. It really bums the mood. Never mind when you're put in one personally. Every time I get into one, I always lose can't rebuttal because I don't know what to say half the time due to stutters that quickly make any manner of gathered thought shatter to pieces. TLDR. I suck at arguments. Yep. I hate arguments and confrontation, and I cry really easily when I'm frustrated. And I'm not great at talking on the spot. I just end up holding back tears and wishing I could turn invisible. It's just like, I don't want to debate, argue with you. Stop antagonizing me. Unexpected people at a gathering. Or many people coming and going. My in-laws seem to always have lots of random people living with them. And you truly never know who's going to be at their house until you walk in the door. I can't prepare myself if I don't know how many which people I can expect to see. My mill also tends to bring random people with her when invited over. Well, they were at the house when we left and they wanted to come too. I hate having unexpected strangers in my house. It instantly takes away the feeling of it being my safe zone. Probably not surprising that I don't invite my in-laws over very often. And it's extremely rare that I go to their house. They wanted to come too. Because Mill invited them. Told them it would be fine and that you have a more the merrier attitude, buff, and that it would be fun. Turns out it's completely awkward. You're pissed off. Stressed and uncomfortable. The guest is uncomfortable. And Mill is oblivious. She's fine with letting anyone and everyone in her house at all times. So of course everyone else feels that way too. Going to any store when it's packed. If I see a store or restaurant that is too crowded, I just leave immediately. I just refuse to deal with that. I feel so much better knowing someone else does this. The number of times I've had to just turn around and go home because some place is just mobbed is high. And everyone around me teases me for it. When my social battery is running low, so I try to leave in order to recharge and get some room to breathe, but then people insist that I stay or make a comment about how I am such an introvert because I'm always leaving for my room. Instantly kills whatever intention I had of coming back. It's irritating being called out like that. Similarly, when I was growing up and had family over, we always had family over. It wasn't like it was really a rare thing. And I'd come out of my room and someone would say, "Oh, so you're finally going to be sociable now," and that reaction was why I was dreading coming out of my room in the first place. Like, if you want me to come hang out, don't punish me when I do it. Going along to an event as a +1 and having to make small talk with all my friends. Agreed. I'm an extreme introvert, and while I love the idea of meeting new and interesting people, it's hard to do when the group is already familiar with each other and you're just the outlier trying to listen to everything said and read everyone so you can at least try to jump in and act like you're part of the group. But instead you sort of just are the quiet one for the day unless someone talks to you or you find an opening. I feel like my boyfriend gets frustrated with me when I find myself in these situations and inevitably just clam up and observe on the sidelines. I feel like he tends to think I'm being moody for not being sociable and that I just want to go home. It's usually quite the opposite. I just don't immediately fit into all his friend groups and can't immediately just squeeze myself in there. I usually come around and open up in time, but only after taking interaction at my own pace so I can gauge the best opening to do so and etc. One-sided conversations. The first moment they talk over me or interrupt and don't sorry I interrupted, what were you saying me? My battery drains instantly. Yeah. That. If I have to dominate my way into a conversation by speaking over you until you stop talking, then I've got better things to do. Running into an old friend you've grown distant from. Like, do we acknowledge each other and have a full-on conversation, or do we just do the head nod and move on? The pretend I didn't see that person works too. Bonus if they also pretend they haven't seen you. Everyone wins. This is my life every time I go back to my hometown. Just avoiding eye contact with people I know over and over until I go back home. When you're at a party where everyone else knows each other. I hate going to parties where I know one, maybe two people. You want to interact with them, but don't want to follow them around like a little puppy dog because I don't want to talk to anyone else. I hate going to parties where I know one, maybe two people. You want to interact with them, but don't want to follow them around like a little puppy dog because I don't want to talk to anyone else. This was the exact situation I came in to comment about. It just drains me so fast. Over the years I have gotten better about interacting with strangers and have enough general interest I can usually find a topic I can interact with a little bit. It just drains me. Let's go around the room and everyone say a little something about themselves. Now everyone get into groups of 2. Looks around room. Everyone has somehow already partnered up in 10 milliseconds flat. I hate those. I just end up not grouping up with anyone. Trying to go unnoticed by the teacher. But then he notices me and forces me into a group of people who were having fun, and it makes me feel like the biggest a-hole just because I didn't have any friends. Anything after work. Work is draining enough. The arranged by management after work activities that are not required at all, but if you don't go you get tagged as not a team player, type events are the worst. Bonus points if they revolve around drinking and you don't drink. I'm pretty sure my career at my current company is over due to not drinking with the manager after work. We've had a few of these at my job that I've just straight up said no to because they start just as I'm clocking in at 8 hours for the day. No way I'm doubling my commute time to hang out with you people. Going to places and then more people being there than I expected. Just a couple days ago I had plans for me and 2 friends to just chill at my house. And somehow I got roped into going somewhere else with 5 or 6 people. I spent most of the time hanging back on my phone : in these situations I'm happy to have Reddit to stay busy. Why are you shy? Why don't you talk? Thanks for the awards. You don't say much, do you? Are you not happy today? OMGIDKY, but hearing you don't say much. Do you? From someone is so freaking condescending to me, I hate that. Like, excuse me? And you don't shut the duck up for once. Do you? You ever met someone who feels like every second of silence needs to be filled with small talk? I don't have much to say because nothing needs to be said. Jim. Maybe stop talking to people who you feel you have to force a conversation with. Mess. When the really sweet, fast-talking 13-year-old girl across the street sees me out front and comes over with yet another little bracelet she has made for me. I don't hear well, in addition to being an introvert, and her chirpy little voice is incomprehensible. I don't want to be rude to her and would not hurt her feelings for anything in the world. But don't want to be her grandma, so it's very stressful. Kids are usually very receptive if you just explain what your problem is. I'm sure if she's sweet enough to make you bracelets, then they'll happily understand if you explain your hearing issue. I did explain to her about my hearing. She spoke slightly louder, but still fast and with that high-pitched voice that young girls have. I think that in time, I can help her to understand. Being able to hear involves not only how loudly someone speaks, but the tone of their voice. I understand men a lot better because my loss mostly involves upper register sounds. One-on-one interaction where I'm sort of in charge. Anytime I'm leading around a new hire or intern at work and need to take them around all day, take them to lunch, etc. Exhausting. Being on point and being responsible for another person's experience of their day is just so much pressure. That's it for me. 2. New trainee day is the worst. There's a stranger. I have to interact with them one-on-one. All freaking day. I genuinely care about them and want them to do well. I know that their progress depends on me. At least somewhat. Which means I need to do well. But seriously, when it's halfway through the shift and I need a break, am I doing my best? Training is usually followed up by a one-on-one meeting with a supervisor about the trainee and their progress. Please just let me crawl into a beer. Your bullet point game is on point, sorry. Definitely when you can't get your words into a conversation, you make an honest effort to be more outward, but people talk over you and you just give up. Especially when you actually have something to contribute in that 30-minute conversation that has gone by, but everyone won't shut up, so you wait patiently for your turn, but you sit inwardly crying because they've changed topics twice now and there's no way to go back and say your piece that might have actually made you interesting. I feel this so much. Happens almost on a daily basis with me at work. Having to engage in small talk really wears me down. Like 2 sentences in and I'm exhausted. I love deep conversations, but small talk just kills my soul. Small talk. Been looking for this. Especially when it is an extrovert that can't stand silence. Car ride with them are so draining because you're essentially trapped. And since they can't have silence, it is a constant conversation. Dude, if you drain all my energy, we are going to crash. And for them it's like I'm bored. Interact with me. I can do small talk. I can do big talk. I can do cozy shared silences. But it's like running. I can't sprint the whole time. I'll collapse. Some extroverts are sprinters. They'll sprint for hours on end. It's like, whoo. Large gatherings with loud music. Crowded places. People who don't know how to stop talking. Now imagine being in a crowded place with someone who won't shut up. Helpful advice that is really just a bunch of judgments of your life choices in disguise. Also, any conversation where someone starts suggesting an essential oil blend will solve all my problems. It would have taken less effort to just say all interactions with my mother-in-law. I used to have acne, like a normal teenager, and everyone tried to help me. I never asked for help. That's the worst. How can that do anything but make you feel more self-conscious? My children's friends parties. Forced interaction with all my kids' friends' parents drains me. How's school going? Honorable mention goes to, do you have a girlfriend yet? I'm focusing on finishing school right now. I'll get a GF after. Meanwhile, the reality is that you're doing shit in school and you got no game. Too relatable. First day of a new school. Like your new college classes and you have to stand up and say your name and what superpower you'd have if you could. The ability to make you skip me, he said in his head. In-laws. Ducking like and subscribe.